Supreme Court blocks the halting of a man's execution. Missouri Supreme Court has blocked an agreement that would have resentenced death row inmate Marcellus Williams to life without parole after new testing of DNA evidence complicated his innocence claim. Let's look under the hood here and tell you what else is going on. Williams, 55, has long maintained he did not murder Lisha Gayle, a one-time reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, found stabbed to death in her University City home in 1998. He was convicted in 2001 of first-degree murder, burglary, robbery, among other charges, sentenced to death. 23 years after his conviction, Williams' innocence claim is championed by attorneys for the Innocence Project and the Midwest Innocence Project. CNN with the details here. Let's get to the Missouri Supreme Court's decision. It caps a whirlwind 24 hours in the case that has pitted Wesley Bell, a local prosecutor running for Congress as a Democrat, against State Attorney General Andrew Bailey, a Republican seeking re-election. There you see the two men. January, St. Louis Prosecuting Attorney's Office, led by Bell, filed a motion to vacate Williams' conviction, saying DNA evidence that could purportedly exclude Williams as the killer had never been reviewed by a court. Prosecutors were expected to present DNA evidence at court Wednesday that they say would exclude Williams as the person who wielded the knife used in the murder. The motion cited the analysis by 3 DNA experts. However, the results of new DNA testing showed the evidence had been mishandled. That complicated Williams' innocence claim, the Associated Press reported. Now, the key hearing Wednesday did not get underway as scheduled, and after several hours, Bell's office announced a consent judgment. An agreement between Williams and the prosecutor's office. The deal dictated Williams receive a life sentence after entering a so-called Alford plea of guilty to first-degree murder. An Alford plea generally allows a defendant to maintain their innocence while acknowledging it is not in their interest to go to trial given the evidence against them. Missouri Attorney General had fought Bell's motion and opposed Wednesday's agreement, saying in a statement, new DNA test results indicated the evidence would not exonerate Williams. It's all how you phrase it. It's all how you phrase it.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
In court, Special Prosecutor Matthew Jacober, representing the St. Louis Prosecuting Attorney's Office, acknowledged the new DNA testing showed the weapon had been mishandled by a former assistant prosecutor and an investigator. The AP reported that contaminated the evidence was supposed to support Williams' innocence claim and make it impossible to prove someone else was the perpetrator. Bell's office had raised other issues with Williams' conviction, claiming in the motion he was convicted on the testimony of 2 unreliable informants who were facing their own legal troubles and were further incentivized by $10,000 in reward money. Now, as far as the Supreme Court decision, a St. Louis County Circuit Court judge has now set the argument aside, scheduled an evidentiary hearing for August 28th, court records show. Lower court may seek an administrative stay of Williams' September 24th execution date while the proceedings unfold, the Chief Justice wrote. So if we are to believe, I didn't hear either side challenge this, Mayor, that the evidence was mishandled. So that's why they can't get a clear line of sight on exonerating the accused in this case. So why such a different reaction and no sense of urgency for a man who's been on death row and a woman who was murdered all these years ago, and we perhaps don't have the real killer? What say you?
I mean, this case at its core is what's wrong with the idea that capital murder is still a thing in the United States. So many places in Europe have already outlawed this execution of people. The main reason I'm so frustrated about executing people is because one mistake means you've killed one innocent person, and that's way too many innocent people to be dying. And we know the biases of America's criminal justice system. We know how cops, how prosecutors, how at every corner, Black men are more likely to be getting sentenced even when they are innocent. So this idea that that because there's no clear level or clear chain of evidence, I'm frustrated, so much so that I can't even form a complete thought because I know I watch so many people through the work of the Innocent Project and other organizations that work to free people, that cases are not clear or there's some racism in the process. I've seen so many Black men come home after 30, 40 years of doing nothing but claiming that they were innocent, and they really were. This case makes me so frustrated. And the Supreme Court, in this case, is doing exactly what they always do, is get it wrong when it comes to the cost and the amount of Black life that is subjected to this BS that we call justice in this country.
I just, when it comes to a Black man whose life doesn't matter, it's as if it doesn't matter from the cradle to the grave.
From the cradle to the grave.
No urgency, evidence not handled appropriately, and then no benefit of the doubt when he didn't mishandle it.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, please.
So and I think people might just like blow that off as if that's something small. Somebody's life is on the line. Everybody that mishandled that evidence, you should be fired. You are incapable of handling a murder case, a crime where someone's life is dependent and someone's life was taken. So therefore, you don't understand what's going on. You should not be doing this. If you're at a bank and you give someone too much money back or not enough money back, they're going to let you go. Yep. This is the equivalent of that, except for someone's life will be lost. So I think this is where when we talk about the lack of accountability in policing, it extends to the court as well. And there's beyond the police department and the DA's office, even the judges in this case are taking it too lightly. This is a man's life at stake, and I think we should hear it out as long as we can.
Mm-hmm. Not even inquiring. What do you mean mishandled and this not? Oh, we'll have an evidentiary hearing in a month or so, and both sides played hard. He has to, the perp here, the accused, pardon me, has to bear the brunt of everything. And everybody else gets to go to lunch and the gavel comes down. And it's cool, man. And we guess we'll take you off death row. We'll consider it, but not going to try too hard.